Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. In today's card video, I am using a twist and slide die set to make a pull and pop card, something my little mind just came up with when I saw this Wheelie Cool stamp set from the latest release at Trinity Stamps. It has so many fun sentiments. You can make Valentine's cards, birthday cards, and just anytime cards. And it has a coordinating die set, and I like to point out that it cuts out every single one of the sentiments with a bubble cut. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to stamp out this whole entire stamp set. Sometimes when I get a new stamp set, I really enjoy stamping out every single image, and while I have it taped to the door of my Misty like this, I can stamp it out a couple times, and then since it's new and I want to make a few cards with it, I'll already have it stamped out and ready to go. So there's all the images stamped out. I am going to be coloring this with Copic markers. So I'm starting with RV21, and this is my darkest color. So I'm putting down those shadows, and then I'll bring in RV21. I know that the lid is going to be off screen there for a second, but you can see there's a little bit of a tonal difference in these two colors. So I'm going to go over it with the R21 to really help blend the two colors together. And I thought this card might be a Valentine card that I could give from me to my husband. So if I was going to have a race car, maybe I would want it to be pink with pink flames. So that's how I decided how to color this out. So I am doing the same colors for the helmet, or just the outside part. The little like visor, I'm going to do black, the same colors that I'm going to use on the wheels. So I have C8 as my darkest color on the wheels, and then C6 and C4. And I'm just going to work from my darkest to my lightest and leave a nice little highlight there. And then I'll use some lighter, like a C2, when I'm blending out like the little shirt. What do I want to call that? Yeah, I guess it's a shirt. Okay, so I also have the flame image here that I'm stamping right on the card. Now there is no die for the flame, and I think that's because it's meant to be stamped on the car, or maybe you could even stamp it behind like the exhaust of the car too. So for this particular card, I need my race car to be nice and sturdy. So I die cut a second race car and driver and glued it back to back, and that's going to make it be thicker and sturdier. All right, for my helmet, to make it fancy, I'm using some glaze and coating that every part but the visor, but you could coat the visor also. I just wanted the helmet to be glittery, so I have my rock candy glitter that I'm putting on there. Oh, I love it. Now I want this helmet. I have no need for it, but it's so cool. Okay, last step for the race car is some highlighting with a white gel pen, and this just finishes it off, gives it that finished look, and I love adding white gel pen. So there it is. I think it's a really fun image and very versatile that you could make for anybody. It's just fun. So here is the Racetrack Heart Die Set. You can see this outer frame has stitch lines that kind of make it look like a road, and then the inside heart also has stitch lines. So they're just like a little smaller and closer together like your typical stitching, but it is a really fun die set to use with this stamp set. So I have those ready to go. I need to make a background, so I am taking the Slimline Cloudy stencil and some Tumble Glass Distress Oxide ink and ink blending this onto a slimline panel. So this panel is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I'm just going to do 3 rows of clouds here, and there you have it. So funny that I should say Rhodes instead of Rose. You know, that's my last name, Rhodes. And one time one of my friends' dads told me if I had a little boy, I should name him Rocky. So it could be Rocky Rhodes. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you, but I thought it was really funny. It made me laugh. Okay, so now I have the Slimline Twist and Slide die set and a little 1-inch strip of glitter paper that's going to be my road, and I am going to die cut an opening from that with the largest slider opening. I glued my heart in place because it is going to overlap my road. Then I traced out my road, not very well, but I did. And then I'll tape the road in place and die cut that out so they can line up. So I am going to save the negative piece because I'm going to use that as part of my mechanism. I'm going to mount this on a black card. Normally you'd save the piece you cut out to go behind your slider so it'd be the same color, but I'm going to put it on a black card so there will be black behind it. So I decided to go ahead and glue my pink hearts in, so I have two, one on each end, and then it's time to start building the mechanism. But I had this little pet peeve. I didn't like the white edge showing. I wanted it to be black. So I took my Copic marker 100, which is called black, and I colored the edge of it. Okay, so for a slider, you need this to be popped up. Now, here's the biggest mistake I made on this card. I did not leave enough clearance for my mechanism. My mechanism is going to be right over the top of that foam tape that I'm putting at the bottom. So in the future, I would want to make my opening for the slider where I die cut that slider be up higher so I had clearance for my mechanism, which you'll see what I mean and how I fixed it. So that's how I put on the foam tape. And then for the back of the race car to hold the mechanism, I'm using two of the largest die cut circles and the same foam tape I used before. This is going to hold the very cool thing, which you would probably all have at home, and that's a rubber band. So I'm going to show you how this goes together so you can pull the car back and pop it. My inspiration is those little race cars. You would pull backwards and the wheels would click, 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 and you'd let it go and they'd zoom across the floor. That was my idea that got me started on creating this cart. So now I'm sticking this down with some double stick tape and glue because I really want it to hold. And I did do 2 layers of the foam tape on this. So it's going to stick up higher than the foam tape inside, on the base of the card. And then I could just look at it and make sure my foam tape is going horizontally. That's the way I need it to go to hold this rubber band piece. Okay, so to put this on, you're going to kind of have to move it, but it's not stuck down, so you can easily move that bottom panel. And you can see how this would move across the slider. Now, if you're doing a regular slider, you might want to use a penny for weight to help it slide back and forth. Okay, so to hook my rubber band on, I am taking that negative piece from the slider, and I'm kind of figuring out where I can put it so the rubber band won't be baggy. You don't want that for this card. You need a piece that's going to hold this rubber band somewhat, not tight, but flattened out, not baggy. What's the opposite of baggy? Taut? Okay, so now I am putting a strip of foam tape between these 2 pieces. You can see I measured one and I used that to cut the second piece, and I used both of the rounded ends because I want it to sit in the rounded end of my slider. And then the rubber band fits on here perfectly. It just kind of nestles in there, and the track of the slider is going to help hold it in place. Okay, so to stick this down, I did start out using foam tape, but decided in the end it was better if I used double stick tape. So we're just going to pretend that's double stick tape right there. I had to take it apart and put it on there because it made the mechanism stick up too high. Okay, so just use double stick tape, and then we're going to pull that rubber band and hook it around the other mechanism on the car. Now it's time to remove all the backing off of my foam tape and make sure that you don't put any on that circle piece on the back of the car, but you can see that circle piece is overlapping my exposed foam tape, so it's going to stick to it where it should have stuck to the card. So I had to put a strip of paper to cover that up, and it won't be stuck to my card right there. That's why the road needs to be up a little bit higher to give more clearance for that mechanism on the car. So I just had to make it work. I'm sticking this down to my 8.5 by 3.5 inch slimline card base, and here it goes. You pull it back and let it go, and it just zooms across the card. But in order for my recipient to know that, I'm using the Papercrafting Magic stamp set. It has the word pull in it that I'm going to use and an arrow. Stamping those just on a little scratch of white. I'm going to trim it down so it has a little flag on the end so it's slightly cute. I'm going to double this up with another piece of paper behind it. So I just glued it down, cut around it. That's going to make it nice and sturdy since we're going to grab onto it. Also, I want to make sure it sticks to my card really good to the back of my car. So I use double stick tape and my Crafty Gluefriend, and then I'm going to push that onto the back of the car and really let it have some time to dry and test this out, and it makes me so happy. I was very pleased with it. I still am. It still makes me giggle. I love it. Okay, so my sentiment says, "You make my heart race." I think it is such a cute saying. I used a little bit more glitter paper, and I'm going to put that at the top of the card, and then you just just pull it back and let it go. It's so fun. Even if the card gets a little wonky, like it turns a little bit, you can straighten it out. And if the rubber band comes undone, you can just stretch it out over the whole car and it will go back into that track. So I think this is so much fun. Let me know what you think of this card in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here's some other videos from Trinity Stamps that you can watch next, and we'll see you on Facebook and Instagram too. Happy stamping! Bye!